Like I mentioned in my Book of Life video, for my freshman year of college, I wrote a paper for my writing class about the Book of Life for my final. I'm really glad my professor let us write about stuff we actually like. I held on to the paper because I honestly thought it'd be fun to share with you, and that's what we're doing right now. And I'm not gonna be deleting the paper once I'm done here. I'm gonna be holding on to this probably forever. Don't ask me why. Now, before we start, I just want to make it clear that I wrote this paper like almost 2 years ago, so I don't remember what the syllabus for the paper in general was. And there are some parts that aren't written that well, but I managed to get an A on this, so yeah. Hope you enjoy. October 2014. I was with my sister and my best friend in a dark, mostly empty movie theater watching the new animated film, The Book of Life. I was captivated by many things. The music, the colors, the story, the action. It became my favorite movie right then and there. I always loved one of the film's many messages of living for yourself and no one else. However, the film included a factor to this that I wouldn't notice until years later. Parental pressure. Throughout the film, The Book of Life demonstrates to viewers, especially kids, that they have the power to live for themselves, and doing so empowers viewers to be true to who they are and to not be afraid to make life choices despite parental pressure. The Book of Life, directed by Jorge Gutierrez, 2014, is about two deities placing a world-changing bet on the outcome of a love triangle of three childhood friends who must protect their home as they overcome their own fears, expectations, and even death. The feeling of failing or not wanting to live up to your parents' expectations is something many of us can relate to, and has been shown in thousands of stories before. The Book of Life is no exception to this. While parental pressure isn't the main focus of the film, it still heavily contributes to the story, sometimes very subtly. The movie's three main characters, Manolo, Maria, and Joaquin, each have their own experience with parental pressure. In Parental Expectations and Its Impact on Adolescence Adjustment, Deepika Kushawa and Tarisha Bida says there are three kinds of parental expectations: anticipatory, satisfactory, and obligatory. All three main characters seem to go through a form of each kind in the film. Anticipatory relates to prediction, where the parent decides how the child will behave while keeping them sufficiently informed. While the parents feel secure, the adolescent, quote, keeps the parents in the dark for independence sake. Here the adolescent feels worried, ignorant of what they need to know, end quote. This is most likely what Maria goes through in the movie. As a kid, Maria had a rebellious spark until her father sent her to a boarding school to become more refined. When she returns home, she's become more refined, but represses her spark more than she did as a kid, and doesn't always vocally object to her father, probably worried about what he might think. The second type of parental expectation is obligatory. Obligatory expectations are related to strict norms and regulations. The parents set norms on how the kid behaves and keeps full control, becoming angry if their rules aren't followed. This is no doubt what Manolo deals with in the movie. His father expects him to become a bullfighter like the rest of his family, while Manolo would rather be a musician. They often argue with each other on the matter, putting a large strain on their relationship. And finally, satisfactory expectations relate to ambitions, where the parents inform their kid how they want to perform, and the parents feel happy when rules are followed. As for the kid, quote, the expectations is normal, end quote. This is more or less what Joaquin goes through. He was mentored by Maria's father, and throughout the film he was more than happy to live up to his standards, building a father-son bond with him. This would be, as Brian Goodwin says in his article, the power of parental expectations, parent involvement starts and ends with powerful everyday messages, quote, aren't forced into compliance-orientated behaviors, but rather developing an internal desire to work hard, end quote. Joaquin is willing to try and live up to his expectations, whereas Manolo and Maria are more resistant. With each of these parenting styles in mind, they also affect the way kids feel about making mistakes. Kushawa and Bida conducted an experiment in which the results showed that parental expectations, good or bad, have, quote, significant effect on adolescence adjustment, end quote. In controlling parenting and perfectionism is associated with an increased error-related negativity, or ERN, in young adults, Alexandria Meyer and Carl Wiseman from the Department of Psychology at Florida State University writes that more controlling parents who punish their kids' mistakes intensely and frequently can result in, quote, children's excessive concerns relating to making mistakes, end quote. We can see Maria go through this in the movie when her father expects her to marry Joaquin to protect the town, while it's evident to the viewer that she wants to be with Manolo. But due to her father's expectations, she feels it's her responsibility to protect the town and doesn't express her objections, afraid of failing the town and her father. This all leads to her agreeing to marry Joaquin, a choice she made combined with her grief of Manolo after she learns of his death, and the pressure from her father. Meyer and Wiseman also say that controlling parents create high standards and expectations, which kids internalize and become overly critical of themselves and their mistakes. While the film doesn't show Maria's father be overly critical of Joaquin, throughout the movie we can see small hints of Joaquin trying to live up to expectations. Joaquin was trained to be a great hero like his late father, something he's always wanted since he was a kid. It's most likely that Joaquin tries to live up to the expectations of the hero his father once was, going along with what Maria's father says with little to no question. When Maria agreed to marry him, he was showing more reluctance than he did throughout the film. He could have decided not to marry Maria after all. But similar to Maria, he still went along with it because of personal standards, his sense of responsibility as a hero, and parental pressure. Manolo's strained relationship with his father is the one the movie demonstrates the most. Kushawa and Bida wrote that when parents don't seem interested with what's going on with their kids, then, quote, children feel disattachment with their parents and their adjustment is gone wrong side, end quote. This is very evident throughout the movie. Manolo and his father constantly arguing about the family legacy of bullfighting and Manolo's personal desires. Manolo tries to go against with what his father says for the most part, but due to his low self-esteem from their relationship, he would give in to what his father says most of the time, similar to what Maria does. However, during Manolo's first bullfight, when he was about to kill the bull, he chose not to do so, since he believed it was wrong. This doesn't sit well with his father, even disowning Manolo as a member of the family, worsening Manolo's self-esteem. Throughout the film, it's been shown that the pressure the main characters get from their parents affect them in various ways, mostly negative, as they let it dictate their choices and actions. Without this pressure on them, they probably would have made choices dictated by their own desires, shown as Maria was ready to marry Manolo given the free choice to do so. However, it's possible that their parents didn't intend for their kids to feel obligated or repressed and wanted to provide, quote, everyday reinforcements of the value of education, sacrifice, and hard work that students come to internalize as high aspirations for themselves, end quote. While the film acknowledges that their parents just wanted the best for their children, the main characters became reluctant about many of their choices, trying to live up to their parents' expectations and afraid of disappointing them. It's been debated about what drives people to make the choices they do in life. David Gall and Derek D. Rucker says in their article, Act Boldly, Important Life Decisions, Courage and the Motivated Pursuit of Risk, from Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, that many scholars have argued that, quote, people's emotional reaction to a decision, most notably fear, drives their choices, end quote. This is most definitely the case throughout the movie, given that the main characters already feel pressure from their parents. The fear from it drives their choices, rarely choosing for themselves. Choosing for yourself is one of the main themes of the movie and isn't as subtle as the parental pressure theme. In order for each character to make choices for themselves, they overcome whatever fear they had to pursue their goal, an aspect of courage. The first time a character chose for himself in the film was when Manolo chose to not kill the bull during his bullfight. However, this brings negative consequences, with the town turning against him and his father disowning him. While this took courage and was made based on his morals, the decision was hastier and more impulsive. The film took extra effort to show the viewer that sometimes making your own choice can have consequences and that your, quote, action has to be viewed as reasonable and appropriate, end quote. Despite Manolo choosing for himself, his impulsive decision might not have been the most appropriate thing to do in that situation. Had he thought it out more, maybe his choice would have had a better outcome. The next few times characters make choices for themselves, they have a more positive effect. When Manolo is in the land of the dead taking on his challenge of defeating a large skeletal bull, his guitar and sword are laid out in front of him. This time, he takes more time to make his decision than his first bullfight. After a while, he picks up his guitar, confusing everyone watching him. Manolo sings an apology song to the bull, which in a way kills it as it calms down, accepting the apology of what the family has done to the bull. After conducting an experiment, Gall and Rucker found evidence that people will choose the riskier option in order to show courage in life. It could be argued that after playing it safe for so long, Manolo wanted to be brave and choose for himself for once, being true to who he was. This choice leads to him getting his life back and even reconciling with his father. When the town is being attacked, Maria finally unleashes her rebellious spark she's been repressing and rallies the town to help fight to protect themselves. During her speech to the town, she encourages the town to overcome their fears and to show agency, the second and third aspects of courage. This has the town fighting alongside each other, allowing the town to triumph, even Maria being able to marry Manolo in the end. During the battle, Joaquin also made the choice to sacrifice himself to try and save Manolo. Joaquin survives the battle, but loses an eye in the process. Another experiment by Galen Rucker shows that courage is, quote, a critical influencer of the choice of risky options, end quote. Self-sacrifice is associated with courage in this context, courage being one of the reasons Joaquin wanted to sacrifice himself. He wanted to be a true hero and step out of his father's shadow, and if him sacrificing himself for his friend meant that, then his courage influenced him to do so, even if he wouldn't marry Maria. Throughout the movie, the three main characters have struggled internally and made decisions on what was expected of them by their parents. When they started to choose for themselves, they had to face a number of consequences and challenges, but were still much happier with their lives even if they didn't fully get what they wanted. This teaches the viewers that despite whatever kind of pressure they have from their parents, they have the power to control their own lives and make their own choices. But the film doesn't hesitate to remind viewers that those choices can sometimes bring consequences if you use poor judgment and don't think things through. It's evident that kids internalize everything and anything, whether or not it's good or bad. When kids watch this movie, they'd feel empowered to make their own choices in life, despite whatever negative pressure they feel from their family. The Book of Life 2014 is a healthy, powerful, and positive reminder for kids that they should be able to decide for themselves and not let their parents' pressure hold them down, and to write their own story. So yeah, that was my paper. There isn't much else I can say right now. I'm not gonna lie, I remember having a lot of fun writing that paper, cause I was examining my literal favorite movie. Of course I'm gonna have fun doing it. So yeah, let me know what you think, and if you have anything to add to the conversation, let me know in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and until then, I'll be in the fandom zone. Bye!